Vanakkam students. Let me continue with the same chapter 1 Laws of Motion. Hope you understood all the terms what we discussed in the previous modules. See what are the topics we had learned from the previous module is force, motion, inertia, types of inertia, types of forces, resultant force, a rotating effect of force. Then Newton's first law of motion. So what we are going to learn in this module is Newton's second law of motion and Newton's third law of motion. So let me start with some learning objectives of this module. Learning objectives of this module are Newton's second law of motion, impulse, Newton's third law of motion, principle of conservation of linear momentum, rocket propulsion, and Newton's universal law of gravitation. So very important topics. These are all the very important topics we are going to learn in this module. It's important 4 more questions are here. So let me see first topic, Newton's second law of motion. Newton's second law of motion. Already we had discussed the Newton's first law of motion. Just we record the Newton's first law of motion definition. Every body continues in its state of rest or uniform motion unless it is acted upon by an external unbalanced forces. That is the definition of Newton's first law of motion. What's the definition of Newton's second law of motion? The force acting on a body is directly proportional to the rate of change of linear momentum of the body, and change in momentum takes place in the direction of the force. Actually, this law helps to measure the amount of force acted on a body. So it is also called as law of force. So what is the formula to find out the Newton's second law of motion? F is equal to m into a. See, F is nothing but is a force, mass, m mass, and a acceleration. So this is the formula to find the Newton's second law of motion. So let me see the equation to find that force of equation using Newton's second law of motion. Deduce the equation of a force using Newton's second law of motion. So using Newton's second law of motion, we have to find the equation of a force. So mass of a moving object, mass m, initial speed u, time interval t, velocity of a body changes is v. What's the initial momentum of a body? Momentum is a symbol for p and initial I. So pi is equal to mu. And final momentum of a body pf is equal to mv. Change in momentum delta. Delta is nothing but is a change. The change in momentum delta p is equal to final momentum of the body minus initial momentum of a body. So that mv minus mv. What is the definition of Newton's second law of motion? Force is directly proportional to the rate of change of momentum. So we have to rewrite the rate of change. Rate is nothing but is the time. So F directly proportional to change in momentum divided by time. So rate is changed as a time. So F force is directly proportional to change in momentum divided by time. F is directly proportional to mv minus mu divided by t. mv minus mu we get from change in momentum. So change in momentum is equal to final momentum of a body minus initial momentum of a body. So what we have to get, F is equal to K into M V minus U divided by T. So K where we have to get, that means the proportionality can be changed it as a K, variable K. So F is equal to K. M commonly we have to take it from the MV minus MU. So M into V minus U divided by T. So we have to put the value K is equal to 1. You substitute the value K is equal to 1 from the above equation. So what we have to get, F is equal to M into V minus U divided by T. So from this equation, how we have to get the Newton's second law of motion? See, force, we know that F, M is that mass into change in velocity divided by time. So from the change in velocity, we know that rate of change of velocity, one term is there, that is acceleration. So acceleration is equal to change in velocity divided by time or rate of change of velocity. So you substitute that acceleration instead of that V minus U divided by T. So we have F is equal to M into A. So force is equal to mass into acceleration. So what we have to get? See, without any external force, we have to maintain the motion of a body moving in uniform velocity. So no external forces, if we are not giving any moving body, it will be maintained, the body is moving in a uniform velocity. So that change in momentum also takes place in the direction of the force. Change in momentum is nothing but final momentum of a body minus initial momentum of a body. So in these changes, what we have to takes place, that means magnitude and direction, and both happens in these change in momentum. So that force is a vector quantity, and unit of force, SI unit of force is Newton, N, and CGS system, its unit is Dyne. Definition of 1 Newton. So already we know that SI unit of force is Newton. What's the definition of 1 Newton is? Amount of force is required for a body of mass 1 kg produces an acceleration of 1 meter per second square. That is the definition of 1 Newton. So how much amount of force is required for a body mass 1 kg and produces the acceleration. Acceleration is nothing but is a change in velocity. So produces an acceleration of 1 meter per second square. That is the definition of 1 Newton. What's the next one? That is definition of 1 Dyne. So amount of force required for a body of mass 1 kg produces an acceleration of 1 centimeter per second square. So same 1 kg mass produces an acceleration of 1 centimeter per second square, because the Dyne is under the CGS system. So 1 Dyne is equal to 1 gram centimeter per second square, and 1 Newton is equal to 10 to the power 5 Dyne. So this may ask in the 1 mark question. So 1 Newton is equal to 10 to the power 5 Dyne. So what is the definition of unit force? The amount of force required to produce acceleration of 1 meter per second square in a body of mass 1 kg is called unit of force. Already we have discussed in the Newton. Unit of force is Newton. So definition of 1 Newton and also unit of force is the same thing. Amount of force required to produce acceleration of 1 meter per second square in body of mass 1 kg is called unit force. And what is the last concept is gravitational unit of force. Gravitational unit of force is kilogram force, represented by kilogram, kg, F. CGS system is unit is gram force represented by GF. And 1 kgf is equal to 1 kilogram into 9.8 meter second is equal to 9.8 Newton. 1 gram force is equal to 1 gram into 980 centimeter per second square is equal to 980 dyne. So 1 kilogram force is equal to 9.8 Newton. 1 gram force is equal to 980 dyne. So kilogram force has to be represented in Newton. Gram force has to be represented in dyne. Impulse. Impulse means large force acting on a very short interval of time in an object. So we have to give large amount of force in a very short period of time. Then we call it as an impulsive force. So large force acting very short period of time is called impulsive force. So force F acts on a body for period of time t. Then the product of force and time is known as impulse. See, we have to represent the impulse by symbol is J. So how we have to calculate the impulse? So J is equal to, impulse is the product of force and time. So impulse is the product of force and time. So impulse J is equal to product of force F and time. So how we have to connect it with the Newton's second law of motion? So by Newton's second law of motion, F is equal to mass into acceleration. So we have to written like this way: change in momentum divided force is directly proportional to change in momentum divided by time. So how we have to represent? F is equal to delta P change in momentum divided by time. Change in momentum, already we have written in that Newton's second law of motion, delta P is equal to mv minus mu. So F is equal to delta P divided by T. So delta P is equal to F into T. So when we find the change in momentum, what we have to get? F into T, force into time. So J is equal to delta P. J is nothing but is a impulse. So impulse, already we know that large force acting in a particular period of time. So impulse is change in momentum. So we have to represent J is equal to F into T. J is equal to F into T. So impulse equal to magnitude of change in momentum. So its unit is kilogram meter per second or Newton second. So this is impulse. Change in momentum can be achieved in two ways. Two ways means it can be activated to different area. First one, large force acting for a short period of time, that means impulse. Next one, smaller force acting for a longer period of time, that means lesser impulse is acting on this change in momentum. So what's the example of large force acting for a short period of time? Automobiles or vehicles somewhere fitted with springs or shock absorbers. So why they have to fit these springs or shock absorbers means, if the vehicle is moving on the uneven roads or up and downs, the passengers sitting inside that automobiles or vehicles, they feel safe, because that uneven roads, the shock absorbers will observe that up and downs. So that only they have to place the shock absorbers in the automobiles or vehicles. So what's the next example of Smaller force acting for a longer period of time, that means less impulse. See, in a cricket match, the fielder always pulls back his hands. Why they have to pull his back in his hands means they have to catch the ball. But they have to hold his hand for a long interval of time to catch the ball. So in that place, lesser impulsive force are activated on that place. So these are the two examples for these two different ways. Newton's third law of motion. So what's the definition of Newton's third law of motion? For every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. They always act on it, two different objects. So action and reaction are always takes place in a single incident. So what's the example for Newton's third law of motion? It's the best example. When a person swims on a pool, see he pushes the water in the backward direction, that is action. So when he pushes the water in the backward, what will happen? The water pushes the person in the forward direction, that is reaction. So one more example, when the bird fly, the bird pushes the air downwards using its wings. So what will happen? The air pushes the birds in the upward direction, that is reaction. So if the Newton's third law of motion can activated in two different object means there is an equal and opposite reactions has to be taken place. So what example I have given in this Newton's third law of motion is one, fire a bullet, and another one is blowing a balloon. See, when you hold a balloon filled with air, if you release that balloon means the air will comes out, that is the action, and the balloon will move upward, that is the reaction. Principle of conservation of linear momentum. See, we are going to prove principle of conservation of linear momentum. There is no change in the linear momentum of a system as long as no external force acts on them. Yeah, it means that when two different objects can moving in the same uniform velocity or uniform motion, if it is moving continuously without any external forces, it will be moving continuously. If these two objects, if they met with any collision, what the impact will be happened? So let me see. So to prove the law of conservation of linear momentum, proof, let two bodies A and B having masses m1 and m2 with initial velocity u1 and u2 in a straight line. If the first body velocity of the body is higher than that of the second body, then the condition is u1 greater than u2. So up to this place, the object is moving with a uniform velocity. If they met with a collision with a time t second, what will happen? The velocity will be changed as v1 and v2. So let me see the picture. m1 and m2 is the two different masses of object A and B with initial velocity u1 and u2. If we see the direction is the same direction. Then second m1, m2, FA, FB in the opposite direction, they met with a collision. So the two object will change it as a different velocity v1 and v2. Let me see how we have to apply the Newton's third law of motion. Force on body B due to A. So F of B is equal to m2 v2 minus u2 divided by T. Force on body A due to B. f of a is equal to m1 v1 minus u1 divided by t. See, let me see these two equation. We know that by applying Newton's third law of motion, we need two different objects. So A and B we have to take. So if two different objects if we take means a reaction and action has to be taken place in these two objects. So by Newton's third law of motion, action force is equal to reaction force. Action force means the two object is moving with the initial velocity u1 and u2. If they met with an collision, that reaction force has to be taken place. So the equation FA is equal to symbol minus y we have to put in that place means that is opposite. So minus f of b. So we have to substitute these f of b and f of b in this place. M1 into v1 minus u1 divided by t equal to minus m2 v2 minus u2 divided by t. See, t will be cancelled, and we have to multiply m1 in the two variables v1 and u1. So m1 v1 minus m1 u1 equal to m2 v2 plus minus into minus plus. So m2 u2 is there. See what we have to get: collision before collision and after collision. M1 v1 plus m2 v2 is the after collision. M1 u1 plus m2 u2 is before collision. So what we have to conclude, the above equation confirms in the absence of an external force, the algebraic sum of the momentum after collision is numerically equal to the algebraic sum of the momentum before collision. So that is the equation to prove the principle of conservation of linear momentum. Rocket propulsion. So rocket, we know that is a artificial satellite. Propulsion means something we have to push forward. So what we are going to learn in this topic, how we have to launch the rocket into the spacecraft. So first point is, propulsion of a rocket is based on the law of conservation of linear momentum and Newton's third law of motion. So rocket propulsion based on the principle of two concepts, one law of conservation of linear momentum and Newton's third law of motion. Second point is, rockets are filled with a fuel in a propellant tank. Fuel either in liquid or solid. So rocket are filled with fuel in a tank. And when the rocket is fired, what will happen? That liquid fuel is burnt and a gas is ejected with a high speed from the nozzle of the rocket. So what will produce? A huge momentum will be produced. So to balance this momentum, an equal and opposite reaction force is produced in the combustion chamber. So that reaction force which makes rocket project forward. So while in the motion of that rocket, the mass of the rocket gradually decreases until the fuel is completely burned out. So mass of the rocket decreases when the fuel is completely burnt out. Since there is no external forces acting on it, the linear momentum is conserved. So first what we have to learn, what is the principle based on that rocket propulsion, then which liquid is filled in that propellant. When the rocket is fired, the fuel is burned, that gas will be ejected from the nozzle of the rocket and it produces a huge momentum. To balance this momentum, Newton's third law is applied here to produce in the combustion chamber, which makes the rocket forward. While in the motion of the rocket, the mass of the rocket gradually decreases until the fuel is completely burned out. Without any external force is acting on it, a linear momentum is conserved. If the mass of the rocket is decreases means gradually increase the velocity of the rocket. So what will happen? It reaches a sufficient velocity and it escapes from the gravitational pull on the earth. So this velocity we called it as an escape velocity, and it will be reached on the space. So that is the picture of rocket propulsion, liquid propellant and a combustor chamber. Liquid fuel we have to fill it on the propellant tank, and when we fire, the hot gas is ejected with a high speed from the nozzle of the rocket. It produces a huge momentum. To balance this momentum, Newton's third law is applied here. An equal and opposite reaction force is produced in the combustion chamber, which makes the rocket project forward. So that is the working of rocket propulsion. Gravitation. Newton's universal law of gravitation. What's the definition of Newton's universal law of gravitation is every particle of matter in this universe attracts every other particle with a force. So each and every particle attracts other particle with a force in this universe, but that force is directly proportional to the product of their masses and inversely proportional to the square of the distance between the center of these masses. So this is the definition of Newton's universal law of gravitation. So what's the equation for Newton's universal law of gravitation is F, that is force, is directly proportional to product of their masses. So from the equation, product means is the multiplication symbol is the product. Masses means m1 and m2. And inversely proportional to square of the distance between the center of these masses, that is r square. Inversely proportional to the square of, square means r square, square of distance between the center of these masses. In the next slide, we will see how we have to prove these Newton's universal law of gravitation. So this is the definition and formula for Newton's universal law of gravitation. In this slide, see, we are going to see how we have to prove the Newton's universal law of gravitation. So force between the masses is always attractive. So if any force in between two objects, different masses, is always attract, but it does not depend on the medium where they placed. It's maybe in air or solid or liquid, whatever it is. So it does not depend on the medium. So what we have to prove, see from the diagram, let m1 and m2 be the masses of two bodies A and B placed r meter apart in space. So m1 and m2 be the two different objects of masses, and r is the distance between these two objects. So is a force is always in between these two different objects, m1 and m2. So force F is directly proportional to the product of their masses m1 and m2, and force is always inversely proportional to the square of the distance between these two masses. So combine the above two expression. So what we have to get, force is directly proportional to the product of their masses and inversely proportional to the square of the distance between these two masses. And directly proportional, we have to change it as an universal gravitational constant G. So what's the value of universal gravitational constant? That is 6.674 into 10 to the power minus 11 Newton meter square per kilogram. So that is the value of universal gravitational constant. See, in this Newton's universal law of gravitation is a 4-mark question, is an important question. So how we have to prove the Newton's universal law of gravitation. So these are all the topics we have discussed in this PP PowerPoint. And once again we recall what we have discussed in this module. First, Newton's second law of motion, impulse, Newton's third law of motion, principle of conservation of linear momentum, and Newton's universal law of gravitation. So what are the questions we may ask in this module? State Newton's laws of motion, deduce the equation of a force using Newton's second law of motion, state and prove the law of conservation of linear momentum, describe rocket propulsion, state the universal law of gravitation and derive its mathematical expression. And one creative question is, while catching a cricket ball, the fielder lowers his hands backwards. Why? See, these 6 questions are book back questions alone. These are very important questions. Definitely you have to read it well. So, read each and every topic 2-3 times. Then only you have to understand the concept. Okay, students. Thank you.